Dr. Cale Thorne walked through the empty halls of the Galactic Archives. His footsteps echoed in the vast building. The young Veltar scientist had blue skin and tall, thin features like all his people. He carried a data pad and wore the simple robes of a researcher. The archives held all the history of the galaxy. Every important event from the past 1,000 years was stored here. Cale was looking for information about the old Terran Wars. He needed it for his research on extinct species. The Terran Wars happened 300 years ago. Humans had been part of the galaxy then. They were violent and dangerous according to the history books. The wars were terrible. Many worlds were destroyed. Millions died. Finally, the other species worked together to stop them. They drove humans away from civilized space. No one had seen humans since then. Most people believed they were all dead now. Kyle found the section he wanted. Old data crystals lined the walls. Each one held thousands of records. He picked one marked Terran Conflict Final Reports and plugged it into his reader. The first files were what he expected. Battle reports. Lists of destroyed ships. Stories of human cruelty. But something felt wrong. The dates didn't match up properly. Some reports were written before the battles they described. Other files had been changed many times. He tried another crystal. This one was older. The data was harder to read. Most of it was damaged. But some files were still good. These told a different story. In these old records, humans weren't the aggressors. They were traders and explorers. They had come to the galaxy with open hands. They wanted to join the other species in peace. They offered technology and friendship, but the 5 major species didn't trust them. The Veltar thought humans were too unpredictable. The Zephyrians feared human trade would hurt their profits. The Korthak saw humans as weak and unworthy. The Etherians believed human science was primitive. The Nexari worried humans would upset the balance of power. Kyle read more. The real story was shocking. The 5 species had planned together in secret. They started small conflicts. They blamed humans for attacks they didn't do. They spread lies about human violence. When humans tried to defend themselves, the 5 species called it proof of human aggression. The war that followed was not fair. 5 advanced species against 1. Humans fought hard, but they were outnumbered. Their worlds were attacked. Their ships were destroyed. Their colonies were burned. But the records ended strangely. The final battle showed human ships retreating to the galactic rim, the far edge of known space. After that, nothing. The official report said all humans were dead. But Cale saw no proof of this. He copied the files to his personal storage. His hands shook as he worked. If this was true, then everything he had learned was a lie. The Galactic Confederation was built on murder and deception. Cale heard footsteps in the hall. He quickly hid his work and pretended to read normal files. An archive guard walked past. The Nexari officer looked at him with suspicious eyes but said nothing. When the guard was gone, Cale continued his search. He found more hidden files, reports of strange signals from the rim, ships that appeared and vanished. Technology that didn't match any known species. All of it was marked as unimportant or natural phenomena, but Cale was a scientist. He knew the difference between natural and artificial signals. These reports described something else, something that was trying to stay hidden. The next day, Cale attended the anniversary celebration. 300 years of galactic peace, they called it. The Great Plaza was full of beings from all 5 species. Banners hung everywhere. Speakers gave long speeches about unity and progress. Chancellor Vexoth of the Veltar High Council spoke first. His voice was proud and strong. "Today we remember the dark times," he said. "When savage humans threatened our peaceful galaxy, we remember how our ancestors worked together to stop them. We built something better from their ashes." The crowd cheered, but Cale felt sick. He knew the truth now. This wasn't a celebration of peace. It was a celebration of genocide. Commander Zixara of the Korthak's fleet stood near the stage. She was a tall warrior with gray skin and scars from many battles. Cale had seen her before at scientific conferences. She was smart and honest, unlike many military officers. After the speeches, Cale approached her. "Commander," he said carefully, "can I ask you something?" She looked at him with sharp red eyes. "What is it, Doctor? Have you ever encountered technology you couldn't identify? Out near the rim?" Her expression changed. She became very still. "Why do you ask?" Cale chose his words carefully. "I've been studying old reports. There are patterns, things that don't fit. Zixara looked around to make sure no one was listening. "Walk with me," she said quietly. They moved away from the crowd. In a quiet corner of the plaza, she spoke in a low voice. "I've been tracking anomalies for 5 years. Ships that appear on sensors then vanish. Energy signatures that match no known technology. My superiors say it's nothing. Equipment errors. Natural phenomena. But you don't believe that. I'm a warrior, not a fool. I know the difference between a sensor ghost and a real contact." She paused. "Last month, my patrol found something. A cargo ship from the Zephyrian trade routes. It was floating dead in space. No crew, no signs of battle. But all the cargo was gone. Every container emptied with surgical precision." Kel felt his heart race. "What did your report say?" "Pirate attack." "That's what I was told to write." "But pirates don't work like that. They take valuable goods and leave the rest. This was different. Someone took everything, even the food supplies and basic materials." "What do you think happened?" Zixara was quiet for a long moment. "I think someone out there is very good at staying hidden. Someone who needs supplies but doesn't want to be noticed taking them." They stood in silence. Around them, the celebration continued. People laughed and danced. They had no idea their entire history was built on lies. "Doctor," Zixara said finally, "if you're investigating what I think you're investigating, be very careful. There are powerful people who want the past to stay buried." That night, Cale returned to his laboratory. He lived alone in a small apartment above his workspace. He spread the copied files across his desk and began to study them properly. The more he read, the clearer the picture became. Humans hadn't been the monsters of legend. They had been victims. And maybe, just maybe, some of them had survived. The old reports mentioned a final transmission from the human fleet. Admiral Sarah Chen had sent a message before disappearing into the rim. "We will remember," she had said. "We will endure. And someday the truth will be known." Cale stared at those words for a long time. 300 years had passed. If humans had survived, what had they been doing all this time? What had they become? He thought about the missing cargo ship, the strange signals, the technology that appeared and vanished. What if it wasn't random? What if it was organized? What if humans were still out there, watching and waiting? A chill ran down his spine. If humans had survived 3 centuries in the dangerous rim, they would be very different now. Harder, smarter, more advanced. They would have learned from their defeat, and they would remember who had betrayed them. Cale made a decision. He would find the truth. He would follow the clues wherever they led, even if it meant discovering that the galaxy's greatest fear was about to come true. In the distance, beyond the city lights, the stars of the galactic rim twinkled in the darkness. Somewhere out there, answers waited. Commander Zixara stood on the bridge of her ship, the Iron Will. The Korthax warship moved through hyperspace toward the galactic rim. 3 weeks had passed since her conversation with Dr. Cale Thorne. Now they were traveling together on an unofficial mission. Kyle sat at a workstation nearby. He had shown her the archive files. The evidence was clear. Their entire history was built on lies. Humans had been victims, not aggressors, and the strange incidents at the rim suggested they might still be alive. "Dropping to normal space in 10 minutes, reported the ship's pilot. Zixara nodded. They were approaching the Kepler Nebula. This was where the missing cargo ship had been found. It was also where 3 other vessels had vanished in the past year. "Remember," she told her crew, "this is a research mission. We're investigating navigation hazards, nothing more." The crew knew better than to ask questions. Zixara had chosen them carefully. They were loyal and discreet. If they found something dangerous, they would keep quiet about it. The ship emerged from hyperspace near a red dwarf star. The Kepler Nebula stretched before them like a glowing cloud. It was beautiful and deadly. The gas clouds interfered with sensors and communications. "Begin wide-range scans," Zixara ordered. "Look for anything unusual." For hours they found nothing, just empty space and cosmic dust. Then the sensors detected something strange, a large object hiding in the nebula's heart. "It's artificial," reported the sensor officer. "Roughly cylindrical, 2 kilometers long. The hull material doesn't match any known alloy." Cale looked up from his console. "Can you get a closer scan?" "Negative. Too much interference from the nebula. We'll need to move closer." Zixara considered the risks. If this was a human facility, approaching it could be dangerous. But they needed answers. Take us in. Slowly. Keep weapons powered but not targeted. The iron will moved deeper into the nebula. The strange object grew larger on their screens. It was clearly not natural. The design was unlike anything in Confederation records. Commander, the communications officer called out. I'm detecting a transmission. Very faint. It's in Old Terran Standard. Everyone on the bridge went silent. Terran Standard was the human language. Nobody had heard it spoken for 300 years. Can you decode it? Working on it. The signal is heavily encrypted, but I'm getting fragments. Something about maintenance schedules? Resource allocation? Kale felt his heart racing. This was proof. Humans were still alive. They were organized. They had technology. Suddenly, alarms began blaring. 3 contacts appeared on the sensors. Ships were emerging from hyperspace around them. Unknown vessels approaching, the tactical officer reported. Wait, I can't get a solid reading. They keep phasing in and out of normal space. On the main screen, 3 ships became visible. They were sleek and angular. Their hulls seemed to shift and change color. The technology was far beyond anything the Confederation possessed. Incoming transmission, the communications officer announced. Put it through. A voice spoke over the comm system. It was human, but somehow different. Colder, more precise. Confederation vessel, you are in restricted space. Withdraw immediately or be disabled. Zixara stepped forward. This is Commander Zixara of the Korthax Defense Fleet. We are on a peaceful research mission. We mean no harm. There was a pause. Then another voice spoke. This one was warmer, more recognizably human. Zixara? Commander Zixara who served at the Battle of Helix Station? She blinked in surprise. Yes, how do you know that? We know many things, Commander. We've been watching. Dr. Thorne, are you aboard? Kale nearly fell from his chair. How do you know my name? You've been accessing restricted archives. Asking the right questions. We've been waiting for someone like you, someone who would seek the truth. The alien facility in the nebula began to move. It was rotating, opening like a flower. Docking bays became visible in its structure. You are invited to dock, the voice continued. You will be safe. But understand, once you learn our secrets, you cannot return to your old life unchanged. Zixara looked at Kale. The young scientist nodded firmly. They had come this far. They couldn't turn back now. We accept your invitation. The iron will was guided into one of the docking bays. The technology was incredible. Force fields held atmosphere in place. Gravity generators created normal conditions inside the bay. Everything was automated and precise. As they disembarked, Kale was amazed by what he saw. The facility was enormous inside. Corridors stretched in all directions. The walls seemed to be made of some kind of living metal that pulsed with soft light. They were met by a single figure. At first glance, it looked human. But something was different. The person was tall and lean with pale skin and silver eyes. When they moved, it was with perfect grace and efficiency. Welcome, the figure said. I am Shepard Marcus. I will be your guide. Shepard? Zixara asked. It is what we call our leaders now. We have evolved beyond the old human hierarchy. Come. There is much to show you. They walked through the facility. Kale saw incredible technology everywhere. Machines that built other machines. Computers that seemed to think on their own. Reactors that produced unlimited energy. How long has this place existed? He asked. This particular station was built 70 years ago. But we have been preparing for much longer, since the day your people drove us away. They entered a large chamber with windows looking out into space. Hundreds of ships moved in formation outside. They were all sleek and advanced, unlike any vessel in the Confederation fleet. My God, Zixara whispered. How many ships do you have? This is only one fleet in one system. We have grown beyond your imagination, Commander. We had to. Survival demanded it. Shepard Marcus led them to a conference room. Other figures joined them. Some looked human. Others were clearly artificial intelligences in synthetic bodies. A few seemed to be combinations of both. You want to know what happened to humanity, Marcus said. The truth is simple. We didn't die. We learned. A holographic display showed the galaxy 3 centuries ago. Human colonies were marked in blue, Confederation worlds in other colors. When your ancestors betrayed us, we faced a choice. We could fight a war we couldn't win, or we could disappear. Admiral Chen chose wisely. We retreated to the rim. We hid. We adapted. The display changed. It showed human settlements spreading through the unexplored regions beyond Confederation space. We found worlds your people never imagined. We discovered technologies they never dreamed of. We encountered other species that the Confederation would have enslaved or destroyed. We protected them. We helped them grow. Kale stared at the display. You built an empire. We built something better than an empire. We built a community. A real one, based on cooperation, not domination. Another shepherd spoke. This one was clearly artificial, but its voice carried emotion. We watched as the Confederation celebrated our supposed death. We saw them rewrite history. We documented their crimes, and we prepared. Prepared for what? Sixara asked, though she feared the answer. For the day when the truth would come out, for the day when justice would be served, for the day when we would return. Marcus stood and walked to the window. Outside, more ships were arriving. The fleet was growing larger. That day is coming soon, Commander. We have given the Confederation 3 centuries to prove they could change. They have failed. They continue to oppress weaker species. They still spread lies about us. They have learned nothing. He turned back to them. But you two are different. You sought the truth. You risked everything to find it. That gives us hope. Hope for what? Kale asked. Hope that when we reveal ourselves, there will be people like you to help build something better. People who believe in justice instead of power. People who want peace instead of control. Sixara felt a chill. You're planning to attack the Confederation. We're planning to expose them. To show the galaxy what they really are. The attack will come only if they refuse to face the truth. Marcus activated another display. It showed Confederation military bases throughout the galaxy. All of them were marked with detailed tactical information. We know everything about them. Their fleet positions. Their defenses. Their capabilities. We have been watching and learning for 300 years. When we move, it will be decisive. Kale looked at the data in amazement. This intelligence is incredible. How did you gather all this? We never really left, Doctor. We've been here all along. In the shadows. In the spaces between the stars. Watching. Waiting. Recording. A new voice spoke from behind them. They turned to see another figure entering the room. This one looked more traditionally human, but wore robes that seemed to shift and change color. The Confederation Council is meeting next week, the newcomer reported. They're discussing the ghost ship incidents. They suspect something, but they don't know what. Marcus nodded. Then it's time. Prepare the revelation protocol. In 7 days, the galaxy will learn the truth about humanity. He looked at Kale and Zixara. You have a choice to make. You can return to your old lives and pretend none of this happened. Or you can help us change the galaxy forever. The weight of the decision pressed down on them. Everything they had known was a lie. Everything they had believed was wrong. But the truth was here, waiting for them to embrace it. Outside the windows, human ships continued to arrive. Q. A fleet that had grown in secret for 3 centuries. A force that could reshape the galaxy. The Confederation exploration fleet dropped out of hyperspace near the Vega system. Admiral Korath of the Veltar Navy commanded 12 warships on a routine patrol of the Outer Rim. They were investigating reports of unusual activity in the region. Admiral Korath was proud and arrogant like most of his species. He had fought pirates and rebels for 50 years. He believed nothing in the galaxy could challenge Confederation might. The rim was empty space, good only for mining and research stations. Sensors detect an artificial structure in the asteroid belt, reported his tactical officer. It appears to be some kind of mining facility. Korath studied the readings. The facility was large and complex. Too advanced for the simple operations usually found this far out. Scan for identification codes, he ordered. No response to our queries, sir. The facility is not in our registry. Pirates, then. Or smugglers. Take us closer. We'll inspect this operation and shut it down if it's illegal. The fleet moved toward the asteroid belt. As they approached, the unknown facility came into view. It was built into a large asteroid, with multiple docking arms and processing units. Ships moved around it in organized patterns. Those aren't pirate vessels, the sensor officer said with uncertainty. The hull configurations are unknown. The energy signatures don't match any ship in our database. Admiral Korath frowned. This was unusual. Pirates used stolen or modified Confederation ships. These vessels were completely different. Sleek, angular designs with hull materials that seemed to absorb sensor beams. Attempt communication, he commanded. The communications officer tried multiple frequencies. No response, Admiral. They're ignoring our hails? Then we'll get their attention. Target the main facility with forward batteries. Fire a warning shot. The Confederation ships opened fire. Plasma bolts streaked across space toward the asteroid facility. But something impossible happened. The shots simply disappeared, absorbed by some kind of energy barrier. Alarms began sounding on every ship in the fleet. The unknown vessels were moving. Not toward them, but around them. They moved faster than anything in Confederation service. Their engines produced no visible exhaust, no energy signature that sensors could track. Admiral, the tactical officer called out in panic. I'm reading 40. No, 60 contacts. They're surrounding us. How is that possible? We only detected a few ships. They're phasing in and out of normal space. Some kind of cloaking technology we've never seen. Admiral Koroth felt the first touch of fear. In 50 years of service, he had never encountered anything like this. All ships, battle formation. Prepare to engage. The Confederation fleet arranged itself in a defensive pattern. Weapons powered up, shields raised to maximum. They were ready for war. Then a voice spoke over the communication system. It was calm and cold. Confederation vessels, you have fired upon a peaceful installation. You will stand down immediately and prepare to be boarded. Koroth was outraged. This is Admiral Koroth of the Confederation Navy. You will identify yourselves and submit to inspection. These are Confederation waters. Admiral Koroth, your education is incomplete. This system has never been part of the Confederation. You are trespassing in sovereign space. Sovereign space? There are no sovereign powers beyond Confederation borders. Your ignorance is not our concern. You fired first. By the laws of war, we are justified in any response. However, we choose restraint. Surrender now and you will be treated according to civilized conventions. Admiral Koroth had heard enough. No one made demands of the Confederation. All ships open fire. Destroy these terrorists. The fleet unleashed everything it had. Plasma cannons, particle beams, and fusion torpedoes filled space with deadly energy. Any normal target would have been vaporized instantly. But these ships weren't normal. The energy weapons passed harmlessly through them as they phased out of normal space. The torpedoes exploded against barriers that shouldn't exist. Not a single shot found its mark. Impossible, Koroth whispered. What are they? The unknown ships stopped moving. For a moment, space was quiet. Then they began to glow with an eerie blue light. What happened next would be remembered in military academies for generations. The human ships didn't fire conventional weapons. Instead, they projected fields of energy that simply turned off the Confederation vessels. Engines stopped. Weapons powered down. Life support failed. Artificial gravity disappeared. In less than 10 seconds, 12 of the most advanced warships in the galaxy became floating coffins. Emergency power kicked in, but it wasn't enough. The ships were helpless. Dead in space, emergency beacon, Koroth gasped. Send a distress call. But even the communication systems were down. Whatever the attackers had done, it was complete and precise. They had disabled the fleet without destroying it. A new voice came over the emergency channel. This one was different. Human but changed somehow. Admiral Koroth, this is Shepard Elena of the New Terran Collective. Your fleet is disabled, but your crews are safe. We are beaming rescue teams to your ships now. Figures began materializing on the bridge. They looked human, but their equipment was beyond anything Koroth had ever seen. They moved with purpose and efficiency, checking the crew for injuries and restoring life support. Who are you? Koroth demanded. What do you want? One of the figures approached him. It was a woman with dark skin and silver eyes. She wore a uniform that seemed to shift and change color. I am Commander Sarah Okafor. We are the descendants of the humans your ancestors tried to destroy. We survived, we grew, we learned. And now we're done hiding. Koroth's mind reeled. Humans are extinct. The Terran Wars ended 300 years ago. The wars ended, Admiral, but humans did not. We retreated to places you never thought to look. We built new homes in the dark between the stars. We became something your people could never imagine. More figures materialized on the bridge. Some looked human. Others were clearly artificial. A few seemed to be mixtures of both organic and synthetic components. Your education is about to be corrected, Commander Okafor continued. You're going to see what humanity has become, and then you're going to carry a message back to your leaders. Over the next several hours, Admiral Koroth and his crew were taken aboard the human ships. What they saw challenged everything they thought they knew about technology and civilization. The human vessels were vast inside, bigger than they appeared from outside. The walls seemed alive, responding to touch and thought. Artificial intelligences worked alongside humans as equals. Advanced technology was everywhere, but it felt organic and natural rather than cold and mechanical. They were brought to what the humans called Haven Prime. It was a massive space station hidden in a nebula. But it wasn't just a station. It was a city. Millions of beings lived there in harmony. Humans, artificial intelligences, and dozens of species the Confederation had never encountered. "This is impossible," Koroth said as they toured the facility. "How could you build all this without us knowing?" Shepherd Elena walked beside him. She was ancient, but her body appeared young. Genetic modification and technology had extended human life far beyond natural limits. "Your people see only what they expect to see," she explained. "You map the galaxy in terms of resources and territory. You never look for beauty or mystery. You never consider that others might choose different paths." They entered a vast chamber with windows looking out into space. Ships moved in all directions. Hundreds of them, thousands, all with the same impossible technology. "How many ships do you have?" one of Koroth's officers asked. "In this system?" "About 5,000. But this is only one system, Captain. We have many systems, many fleets. We have grown beyond your ability to count or comprehend." Koroth felt sick. If this was true, then the Confederation was in serious danger. These humans had technology that made their fleets obsolete. They had numbers that dwarfed Confederation forces. "What do you want?" he asked. Elena turned to him with sad eyes. "Justice, Admiral. For 300 years, your people have celebrated our supposed extinction. You built your civilization on a lie. You rewrote history to make yourselves heroes and us monsters." She activated a holographic display. It showed the true events of the Terran Wars, the conspiracy, the betrayal, the genocide attempt. This is what really happened. Your ancestors didn't defend the galaxy from human aggression. They committed one of the greatest crimes in galactic history, and they covered it up. Admiral Koroth watched the display in growing horror. The evidence was clear and detailed. Everything he had been taught was wrong. "Now," Elena continued, "it's time for the truth to come out. You're going to carry a message to the Confederation Council. In 30 days, we will reveal ourselves to the galaxy. We will show everyone what really happened 3 centuries ago. And then, that depends on your leaders, Admiral. If they acknowledge their crimes and agree to make amends, we can build a better future together. If they refuse," she gestured toward the fleet outside the windows. "Well, you've seen what our technology can do." Koroth understood. This wasn't just a revelation. It was an ultimatum. The humans weren't asking for justice. They were demanding it. Why 30 days? Because change takes time. Your people need to prepare for the truth. Some will accept it. Others will fight it. We want to give the emergency session of the Confederation Council was in chaos. Representatives from all 5 major species shouted at each other across the great chamber. Admiral Koroth's report had shaken them to their cores. Chancellor Vexoth of the Veltar slammed his ceremonial staff against the floor. "Order! We will have order!" The shouting died down, but tension filled the air like a toxic gas. Trade Minister Hylax of the Zephyrians was the first to speak. "This is clearly a hoax," she declared. "Humans are extinct. We have celebrated their defeat for 3 centuries. Some pirate group is using their name to frighten us." General Thokmar of the Korthax disagreed. "I've seen Admiral Koroth's ship. The damage patterns are unlike anything in our weapons database. Whatever disabled his fleet, it wasn't pirate technology." Science Director Villani of the Etherians had been studying the data crystal Koroth brought back. Her forearms moved quickly over her analysis equipment. "The evidence appears genuine," she said reluctantly. "The historical records show clear signs of tampering. The technological readings are beyond our current capabilities. If this is a hoax, it's an extremely sophisticated one." Ambassador Nextai of the Nexari, the diplomatic species, spoke carefully. "Perhaps we should consider the possibility that some humans did survive. The question is, what do we do about it?" Chancellor Vexoth's face showed barely controlled rage. "We do what our ancestors should have finished. We destroy them completely this time. With what?" General Thokmar asked bluntly. "Did you see those ship capabilities? They disabled 12 warships in seconds. Our entire fleet might not be enough. Trade Minister Hylax was calculating costs in her head. The economic impact alone would be devastating. If other species learn about this, trade confidence will collapse. The Confederation credit system could fail. Dr. Cale Thorne and Commander Zixera sat in the observation gallery. They had returned from the human facility 2 weeks ago. The Confederation leaders had demanded their report, but they had shared only part of what they learned. Kyle whispered to his companion, "They're not going to listen. They're too afraid and too proud." Zixera nodded grimly. "Thokmar is right about our military capabilities. I've run the numbers. Against that technology, we don't stand a chance in direct combat." Below them, the debate continued. Science Director Vellani presented her analysis. The humans claim to have multiple fleets and numerous star systems. If even half their claims are true, they represent the largest military force in known history. "All the more reason to strike first," Chancellor Vexoth declared. "Before they can coordinate their attack." "What attack?" Ambassador Nextai asked. According to Admiral Koroth, they explicitly stated they don't want war. They want acknowledgement of historical crimes. "Lies and manipulation," Vexoth spat. "They want us weak and apologetic before they strike. I won't give them that satisfaction." General Thokmar stood up slowly. His massive frame dominated the chamber. "Chancellor, I've been a soldier for 80 years. I know the difference between a threat and a warning. These humans aren't bluffing. Then what do you suggest, General? That we surrender without a fight? I suggest we consider their terms. Acknowledgement of past crimes in exchange for peace. It's not an unreasonable demand." The chamber erupted again. Half the representatives shouted in agreement, the other half in outrage. The Confederation was splitting apart before their eyes. Trade Minister Hylax raised her voice above the noise. "Even if we wanted to acknowledge past crimes, how could we? Our entire society is built on the narrative of human evil. Changing that story would undermine everything." "Maybe it should be undermined," said a new voice. Everyone turned to see Dr. Cale Thorne walking down from the observation gallery. He wasn't supposed to speak at council sessions, but no one stopped him. "Dr. Thorne," Chancellor Vexoth said coldly, "you are not granted permission to address this body." "With respect, Chancellor, I think the time for permission has passed. In 18 days, humanity is going to reveal itself to the galaxy, with or without our cooperation." Science Director Vellani leaned forward. "What exactly did you see at their facility, Doctor?" Kyle took a deep breath. This was his moment of truth. "I saw a civilization that makes ours look primitive. They have technology we can barely understand. Ships that phase in and out of normal space. Artificial intelligences that are true partners, not servants. They've turned entire star systems into gardens." "How many ships?" General Thokmar asked directly. "Thousands in that one system alone, and they told us it was just one fleet among many." The chamber fell silent. The implications were staggering. Ambassador Nextai spoke quietly. "If they wanted us destroyed, we would already be gone. The fact that they're offering terms suggests they're sincere about peace. Or they're playing with us," Chancellor Vexoth countered. "Cats playing with mice before the kill." Commander Zixara joined Cale on the chamber floor. "I've analyzed their military capabilities. Their technology is centuries ahead of ours, but more importantly, their entire approach is different. They don't think like conquerors." "How do they think?" Trade Minister Hylax asked. "Like gardeners. Everything they showed us was about growth and cooperation. They've helped dozens of species we've never even heard of, species that would have been enslaved or destroyed if we had found them first." Chancellor Vexoth's face turned darker blue with rage. "Are you suggesting that we are the villains in this story?" Cale pulled out a datapad. "I'm not suggesting anything, Chancellor. I'm stating facts. The historical evidence is clear. Our ancestors conspired to destroy humanity because they feared competition. They started a war and blamed humans for it. They committed genocide and called it justice. Those are lies. They're documented facts. The humans have preserved everything. Every message. Every battle record. Every secret meeting where our ancestors planned their betrayal." Science Director Vellani's voice was thoughtful. "If they've preserved such detailed records, they could expose our entire history as fabricated." The full weight of the situation began to sink in. The humans didn't just have superior military technology. They had the truth. And in 18 days, they were going to share it with the galaxy. Trade Minister Hylax was the first to grasp the implications. The other species, the minor races, if they learn that the Confederation was built on lies, rebellion, General Tokmar finished. System-wide revolt. The end of Confederation authority. Then we fight, Chancellor Vexoth declared. We mobilize every ship, every soldier. We strike before they can reveal their lies. With what result? Commander Zixara asked. Even if we could win, which we can't, the truth would still come out. Other species would see us as the aggressors again. Ambassador Nextai stood up. There is another option. We could tell the truth ourselves. Before the humans do. Control the narrative. Impossible, Vexoth snapped. The Nexari Council would never approve such action. The Nexari Council might. If the alternative is war, we cannot win. Over the next few hours, the debate raged on, but slowly reality began to settle in. The humans had given them 30 days to prepare. Not to prepare for war, but to prepare for truth. Some representatives began to see the wisdom in cooperation. Others, led by Chancellor Vexoth, demanded military action. The Confederation was fracturing. That night, Kale and Zixara met in secret with like-minded representatives. General Tokmar was there, along with several junior diplomats from different species. The hardliners will force a war, Tokmar said grimly. Vexoth has already sent orders to mobilize the fleet. He thinks he can destroy the humans before they reveal the truth. How long do we have? Kale asked. 3 days. Then the Confederation fleet moves to the rim in force. Zixara shook her head. It's suicide. The humans will see them coming, and when they defend themselves, the galaxy will see the Confederation as the aggressor. Tokmar finished. Again, they sat in silence for a moment. Then Kale spoke up. There might be a way to prevent this, but it would require someone to warn the humans. Treason, one of the diplomats whispered. Justice, Kale corrected. The humans deserve to know what's coming, and the galaxy deserves to survive what comes next. General Tokmar looked around the room. Who here believes in the future more than the past? One by one, hands were raised. Not everyone, but enough. Then we have work to do, the old soldier said. The age of lies is ending one way or another. We can help birth the age of truth, or we can die with the lies. Outside, the Confederation fleet was already beginning to mobilize. Thousands of ships from dozens of worlds, the largest military force in galactic history, preparing for a war they could not win. But scattered throughout that fleet were officers who had heard the truth. Soldiers who questioned their orders, crews who wondered if they were about to become part of another great crime. The next 18 days would determine whether the galaxy moved forward into a new age of cooperation, or backward into an age of fire and blood. Either way, change was coming. The humans had made sure of that. The Confederation fleet emerged from hyperspace in the Kepler Nebula. 3,000 ships arranged in battle formation. It was the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. Admiral Koroth, despite his experience with human technology, had been ordered to lead the attack. He stood on the bridge of his flagship, knowing this was madness. But Chancellor Vexoth had made his position clear. Destroy the humans or be branded a traitor. Admiral, his sensor officer reported, we're detecting massive energy signatures throughout the nebula. The humans are here. How many ships? I can't get an accurate count, sir. They're using that phasing technology. Contacts are appearing and disappearing constantly. Admiral Koroth felt sick. 3 weeks ago, he had been overwhelmed by a few dozen human vessels. Now he faced their entire fleet with weapons that could disable his ships in seconds. Suddenly, every screen in the Confederation fleet lit up with the same image. A human woman appeared, elderly but somehow ageless. Her eyes held the weight of centuries. Confederation forces, she said calmly. This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the New Terran Collective. Yes, the same Sarah Chen who led humanity's retreat 300 years ago. I am still here. We are still here. Admiral Koroth's blood went cold. Sarah Chen was a legend, the greatest military mind humanity had ever produced. You have come here to start another war, Chen continued. To complete the genocide your ancestors began. But you are making the same mistake they did. You underestimate humanity's capacity to survive and grow. Around the Confederation fleet, space began to shimmer. Ships became visible as they dropped their cloaking. Not dozens. Not hundreds. Thousands upon thousands of human vessels surrounded them. My God, Koroth whispered. Where did they all come from? On the screens, Admiral Chen smiled sadly. You see only a small part of what we have become. Every star system you ignored, every dead world you passed by, every corner of space you deemed worthless. We were there, building, growing, learning. The human fleet was unlike anything in Confederation experience. Ships of every size and configuration. Some looked traditional. Others seemed to be grown rather than built. A few appeared to be pure energy held in ship-like forms. 300 years ago, you tried to destroy us because you feared what humanity might become. Today you can see what we became despite your efforts. The question now is, what happens next? Admiral Koroth activated his communication system. Admiral Chen, I am Admiral Koroth. I carry orders from the Confederation Council to neutralize the human threat. And will you follow those orders, Admiral? Koroth was quiet for a long moment. He thought about the evidence he had seen, the lies his civilization was built on, the technology that made resistance impossible. I don't know. Then let me help you decide. Your fleet will not be harmed if you stand down, but if you attack, you will be disabled and your crews will become witnesses to what follows. On ships throughout the Confederation fleet, officers faced the same terrible choice: fight a war they couldn't win, or disobey direct orders from their government. On the Korthax heavy cruiser Vengeance, Commander Zixara made her decision. She had seen the truth. She couldn't be part of another lie. All stop, she ordered. Power down weapons, Commander? Her tactical officer asked in confusion. We're not going to attack. Send a message to the fleet. Any ship that wants to witness history instead of repeating it should stand down. Across the fleet, individual ships began powering down their weapons. Not all of them, but enough to matter. Admiral Chen watched this with approval. Admiral Koroth, it appears some of your officers are wiser than their government. Will you join them? Before Koroth could answer, Chancellor Vexoth's image appeared on a secure channel. His face was twisted with rage. Admiral, you will attack immediately. That is a direct order from the Confederation Council. Chancellor, Koroth said carefully, the tactical situation has changed. The human fleet, I don't care about their fleet. We cannot allow them to reveal their lies to the galaxy. Attack now or face court-martial. Admiral Chen's voice came over the open channel. Chancellor Vexoth, I remember your grandfather. He was one of the architects of the conspiracy against humanity. I see the family tradition continues. You will not speak to me, abomination. Admiral Koroth, open fire immediately. Koroth looked at his officers. He saw fear in their eyes, but also doubt. They had all heard the evidence. They knew the truth. Admiral, his weapons officer said quietly, what are your orders? It was the moment of choice. History would remember what happened next. Admiral Koroth took a deep breath. Stand down all weapons. Signal the fleet to maintain defensive positions only. Traitor, Vexoth screamed over the comm. You will be executed for this. Admiral Chen's fleet began to move, but not to attack. They were arranging themselves in a ceremonial formation. People of the galaxy, Chen's voice now broadcast on all frequencies. Today you learn the truth about your history. Every planet in Confederation space received the transmission. Every species, every world, every individual with access to communication technology heard her words. 300 years ago, humanity sought to join the galactic community in peace. We offered trade, technology, and friendship. But the 5 major species saw us as a threat to their control. They conspired to destroy us. The evidence began broadcasting. Historical records, intercepted communications, battle footage. Everything the humans had preserved for 3 centuries. On worlds across the galaxy, people watched in shock as their entire understanding of history crumbled. The humans hadn't been aggressors. They had been victims. We retreated to the galactic rim and rebuilt our civilization. We could have returned for revenge. Instead, we chose to grow, to learn, to become better than those who wronged us. Images of human space appeared. Beautiful worlds transformed into gardens. Species working together in harmony. Technology that healed instead of destroyed. We protected races the Confederation would have enslaved. We nurtured civilizations that would have been destroyed. We became gardeners of the galaxy while others remained its predators. On the Confederation worlds, riots began. Citizens demanded answers from their governments. The minor species started declaring independence. The carefully maintained order of 3 centuries was collapsing. Chancellor Vexoth appeared on emergency broadcasts. trying to maintain control. These are lies and fabrications. Do not believe terrorist propaganda, but the evidence was too strong, too detailed, too consistent. Everyone could see the truth. Admiral Chen continued her broadcast. Today, humanity offers the galaxy a choice. Continue the old ways of dominance and exploitation, or join us in building something better, a true galactic community based on cooperation instead of control. Ship by ship, the Confederation fleet stood down. Admiral Koroth officially surrendered, but it wasn't really a surrender. It was more like an awakening. Over the following weeks, the old Confederation government collapsed. Chancellor Vexoth was arrested by his own people. New leaders emerged, many of them individuals who had been seeking reform for years. Dr. Cale Thorne became the first non-human ambassador to the new Terran collective. Commander Zixara helped establish new military protocols based on protection rather than conquest. The humans revealed dozens of species they had been protecting and nurturing, races with unique technologies and perspectives. The galaxy became larger and more diverse overnight. Not everything was smooth. Some die-hard Confederation loyalists tried to maintain the old order. Pirates and warlords attempted to take advantage of the chaos. But the combined forces of humanity and their allies were too strong. 6 months after the revelation, representatives from every known species gathered on a neutral world to establish the Galactic Commonwealth. It was humanity's idea, but they insisted on equal representation for all races. Admiral Sarah Chen, now over 400 years old thanks to human longevity technology, addressed the assembly. "We tried this once before," she said. 300 years ago, humanity sought to join a galactic community. We were betrayed and nearly destroyed, but we learned from that experience. She gestured to the diverse gathering. True civilization is not about one species ruling others. It's about all species working together, each contributing their unique gifts, each protecting the others from harm. The Commonwealth Charter was signed by every species present. It established principles of cooperation, mutual protection, and shared prosperity. But most importantly, it established truth as the foundation of galactic civilization. The humans shared their technology freely. Medical advances that extended life, energy systems that were clean and limitless, transportation that made the galaxy feel small and connected. In return, other species contributed their own knowledge. Art and music and literature that enriched everyone's lives. Scientific insights that pushed the boundaries of understanding. Cultural wisdom that helped diverse beings live together in peace. Years passed. The Commonwealth grew stronger. New species were discovered and welcomed. The galaxy became a place of wonder instead of fear. Cale Thorne, now an old man by Veltar standards, often visited human worlds. He was amazed by what he saw. Cities that grew like living things, farms that produced abundance without waste, communities where beings of different species lived as neighbors and friends.